is consider and take action on a possible adoption of one or more resolutions and or ordinances pertaining to the, pertaining to the following. Resolution of the City of Fulshear authorizing membership and participation in the Gulf Coast Coalition of Communities or Houston Coalition of Cities in cooperation with the members of the coalition on electric and gas utility matters. Item B, resolution of the City of Fulshear authorizing participation in the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities on CenterPoint's electric proposed rate increase. And item C, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fulshear, City declining to approve the change in rates requested in the statement of intent filed with the City by CenterPoint Energy Houston Electric, LLC, CenterPoint Houston, on June 30th, 2010, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance was considered was open to the public and in accordance with Texas law. We've had CenterPoint Energy. They came by the city and they visited with us about their rate hike request. In the meantime, we've had the City of Houston, who has formed a coalition of cities, that their attorney came out yesterday and met with myself, Larry, and about 5 other mayors from local cities to try to educate us on the issue. They have a group that's represented by an attorney that they've hired, which will be paid for through the Public Utility Commission process. And then actually Grady Randall's law firm, Chris, alerted us that they represent some other cities like Mont Belvieu that were participating in the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities. And we had their attorney come by this afternoon, and they met with Fulshear, Simonton, and Weston Lakes to tell us a little bit about what their ideas and their approach was. Again, he's being funded through the Public Utilities Commission, so these groups representing these cities, are not being paid directly by the city. That cost is borne by the utility rate increase process.
I want to make a motion here that we approve a resolution of the City of Fulshear authorizing membership and participating in the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities, which is known as GCCC, and the cooperation of the members of the coalition on electric and gas utility matters. And the one that's in our book is an error. And I say that we approve this with the error correction. The City of Fulshear is spelled wrong. That we need to correct that. And I would make that motion on A.
What this does, this resolution, it extends the rate hike request renewal, or the new rates, for 90 days. And so in that time, and also would allow us to enter into the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities, and we would be represented in that group through conference calls. And just to give you an idea, you don't have the information here, but some of the similar cities are like Rosenberg, Missouri City, Sugar Land, Mont Belvieu, Jersey Village, Friendswood. So they're cities that are not large like the City of Houston. They're more, I would say, average type cities that I would probably feel more comfortable being associated.
So there are 3 potential motions or ordinances here, A, B, and C.
Correct.
And I think Larry's
A only.
is saying A only. Can you just explain why A and not B and C?
Correct. Again, it's just a judgment call on the coalition that you would like to represent you in this rate hike request case before the Public Utility Commission.
Yeah, the way I read this, the first one says A, it says Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities, and the second one says Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities. So what's the difference?
Let me jump in.
Yeah.
Okay.
A is joining the coalition. B is then cooperating with the coalition, and by doing B, you allow them to make an act and petition the PUC to extend the deadline for the rate increase. So if you had done C and declined it, which is what CenterPoint is asking, you would
Asking to
immediately
decline, asking for or decline what they're asking for.
Well, here's the trick. If you decline, then you're off the you're out of the negotiation table.
Okay,
So you don't want C,
okay.
but you, by passing B, as
Yeah.
I understand it, they then will petition the PUC for a 90-day extension, so you push the rate hike out.
So we need to do A and B, is that right?
That would be my recommendation for that.
But we need to pass two resolutions. One is to do the suspension for 90 days, which is A, through the Gulf Coast Coalition, and B is to authorize the participation in the Gulf Coast, the GCC, membership and participation in the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities, GCC, and in cooperation with members of the coalition on electric and gas utility matters. And also, the second resolution is for the city of Fulshear authorizing participation with the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities on center